Phantom fans? My name is Sam Olmstead. His name is Justin Irwin. This is the Dump and Chase podcast. Earlier this year on April 17th, as Muskegon was neck and neck with Chicago for the first seed in the East, they lost a game to the Phantoms, who at the time were in the sub-basement of the Eastern Conference. After the game, Jack's coach Mike Hamilton called the game a fluke. That even though Youngstown had never had the lead in that game, they walked away with 2 points in overtime. A shootout loss and a comeback victory for the Phantoms this past weekend kept Muskegon firmly in the Eastern Conference basement, while Youngstown jumped up to fourth. So, Justin, I logged that statement away last season, hoping to get it to bring it up in the future. I didn't think I'd get to bring it back so soon.
Revenge is a dish best served cold, and hockey is played on ice.
So, funny enough, there really wasn't any news to report this episode. Guess the front office has settled down a little bit now. So instead, what do you say we go streaking?
All right, I'll grab my vodka.
I meant talking about game streaks, point streaks. Was I not clear?
Oh, I'll put my pants back on.
Okay. With our respective body builds right now, if we went running naked through a field, it would mean we were being chased by a giant peach. I really felt like we were missing Roald Dahl references in this show, so I'm glad that wrong was righted.
Well, we just ventured into the uncanny valley.
Yeah, this is just in the first 2 minutes of the episode. We still got a ways to go here. Okay. But seriously, we did want to point out some of the notable streaks that are going on with the Phantoms right now after the conclusion of this last weekend. So right off the bat, these first two, the Phantoms have picked up 7 out of 8 possible points in the last 4 games. And something that was not going all that great at the beginning of the season, really starting to pick it up. The Phantoms now have power play goals in 6 of their last 7. So it'd be easy to say very possibly those two things could be related.
Yeah, I'm going to say that that's not a coincidence. That was one of the things I think I mentioned somewhere in a preview was, or maybe one of the podcasts was, it'd be really nice if, we weren't scoring a lot even strength. If we could get some power play goals to kind of give us a little push on offense. And now we need to probably focus more on getting even strength goals, but I'll take whatever we can get.
Now, as far as scoring streaks, the game on Friday kind of ended a lot of them. The only one that survived was Adam Ingram, which after the game on Saturday, he is now up to a 7-game point streak with 4 goals and 5 assists in those 7 games. Adam Ingram is, really turning into what we thought he was going to be this season.
Yeah, definitely shows great skating skills, great vision. I forget where he was ranked on the Central Scouting Report, but you'd have to think that if he were on one of the other teams that I won't mention, he'd be at least probably, 10 or 15 higher.
And then looking at Kyle Chevette, in his last 4 games, Kyle has allowed 2 or less goals. Also, his last 4 games, 3-0-0-1. So of his last 4 games, it's been 7 out of 8 potential points that he's helped with. Kyle is really starting to get dialed in the crease.
Yeah, confidence. You can see he's built a lot more confidence, feels comfortable, and some of the glove saves that we've seen him make here recently have been spectacular. So we just hope that, he can keep this up. Hopefully stimulates Bartoskevich to compete when he next gets a start. I'd like to see a little positive goaltending competition, something we haven't seen in a few years.
Okay, so how about we go ahead and dig into this last weekend up in Michigan with the Muskegon Lumberjacks. And we will kick this off with the Friday game. This was a 2-1 loss for the Phantoms in a shootout. Phantoms went down early 1-0, and Kyle Chevette, of course, standing on his head quite a few times in that game, was able to keep them in the game. Phantoms tied it up in the third period, was able to get that 1 point, getting the game to overtime. Overall for the game, the Phantoms' only goal was Adam Ingram, his 7th of the season. That was on the power play. Kyle Chevette stopped 34 of 35 shots. The Phantoms were 1 for 2 on the power play, and amazingly enough, 0 for 0 on the penalty kill. The Phantoms had no penalties in this game.
In Muskegon.
In Muskegon, of all places. You know, Cedar Rapids was a bad influence on us. I'm glad we got away from them until I want to say January, but
yeah.
So they were a very bad influence on us. But no, Phantoms took no penalties in that game on Friday. Overall, the shots in the game that went to Muskegon, 36 to 33. And in the shootout, the lone Phantoms goal was by Steven Sardarian. I've been saying Steven this whole time just because of that I. Turns out it is pronounced Steven. So there was something I learned a couple weeks ago that I haven't got the chance to use until now. But again, Phantoms were down 1-0. Chauvet kept them in the game. The defense played incredible. And gave the team a chance to come back and at least tie it, and that's what they did.
At times it wasn't pretty, but you claw back, you get at least 1 point, you start at least building for the night after. So not the start of the weekend that quite we hoped for, but still we got points. Again, Kyle Chauvet bailing us out a little bit. And, head into Saturday, maybe with a more positive attitude than if he took a loss. And, well.
Yeah, so getting into the Saturday game, that game was a 3-2 win for the Phantoms. That was, again, another early goal by Muskegon, puts them up 1-0. Phantoms came back and tied it at 1 with a goal by Ryan Alexander, his 7th of the season. That was on the power play. Muskegon goes up 2-1 in the second period. The third period, Winter Wallace, with about 4 minutes and change left in the game, he tied it up with his first of the season. Originally thought to be Carter Rose's goal. Upon further review, apparently the puck deflected off the stick of Winter Wallace in front of the crease. So he gets his first of the season. A couple minutes later, on a late power play in that game, Ryan Alexander got his second of the game, his 8th of the season, also on the power play. That put the Phantoms up 3-2. They were able to close it out. In that game, Kyle Chauvet was 26 for 28. The Phantoms 2 for 7 on the power play. They were 3 for 4 on the penalty kill. And for the shots in that game, Youngstown led 35-28. All in all this weekend, and this is something I'll talk about later on, but this was basically 3 comebacks this weekend for the Phantoms. Anytime they were down, they buttoned down, they were able to get back into it. And I have to say this one, even though Muskegon has consistently been one of the worst teams in the league so far this season, I think this was one of the better wins for the Phantoms.
Muskegon was a little desperate to try to prove something this weekend, and hopefully the one win is enough for them. They've got a new Russian goaltender, Zhidoro Zhevny. I'm not even sure how to pronounce his name at this point. I think
it's not important if they play on somebody else's team. It's the pronunciation isn't that important.
I'm not gonna. He played well. Definitely there were times we could have scored, and he kept the puck out. But Muskegon is kind of floundering still, and we managed to pull out the win in the second night. We got to face them a few more times this year, so let's keep this up.
Now, last season, the story of the Phantoms was, third period late in games, they were close, just couldn't get over the hump, gave up a lot of empty net goals. And, that when it was all said and done last season, that was their story. Muskegon's story this year so far, they're scoring goals. They're, scoring early and often. They're putting points up. It's just they have not been able to hold leads. And that was extremely evident this weekend. Right there is their most glaring issue, is they cannot hold on to a lead. And the bulk of the games they have lost this season, they have led in at one point. And, just gave up too many late goals and lost it in the end. So very odd to see a Muskegon team having that kind of problem.
Yeah, they like you said, they can score early, kind of opportunistic, but then they have, like we do sometimes, I guess, maybe more so, some fundamental breakdowns, some bad fundamental breakdowns, and um, just some of the play in their own end, I think, has been really bad.
All right, and that was the recap, which means it is now time for 4 points. As always, 4 points is where we break down the previous weekend into 4 categories: what we liked, what we didn't like, our favorite moment, and weekend MVP. So I'll start us out with what I liked. And like I mentioned before, that was the Phantoms basically having to come back 3 times this weekend to tie the game. Again, the game on Friday, they were able to come back to tie the game, to get the game to overtime, get at least the 1 point there, and then having to come back twice on Saturday to tie the game, and then, being able to get a late goal to go ahead and get the win for them, which, again, like I said earlier, that was a big issue last season, just the Phantoms not being able to get those goals at the end of games. So to see that this past weekend, not even what I liked, I loved that.
Yeah, what I liked, obviously the power play, 3 for 9. It tied us, got us a point in Friday's game. Saturday's game, we got 2 power play goals. We won that one. So it's been really helping us out. Like I said, that was something I thought we needed to do early in the season, and now we are accomplishing.
Okay, so what I didn't like, after the game, once the final buzzer had sounded on Saturday, we had a little bit of a post-game scrum. We had Jaden Grant involved in that. He ended up receiving a 2-minute minor for roughing and a 10-minute misconduct right at the end of the game. That kind of stuff that can start fluttering into like 1-game suspension territory. I mean, granted, yes, the Phantoms' discipline has been a lot better, but to me, that was a situation that the game was over. We won, we had the points. That was a situation they just needed to skate away from. We're seeing him improve, leaps and bounds as far as the discipline of this team. That was just one of those things I could have done without. I think clean that up, and that's just another step forward. But yeah, that was something I didn't want to see at the end of that game. Hopefully nothing came out of it, as far as this weekend is concerned.
And I have to agree 100% with that. What I didn't like this weekend, even strength production. 2 games, 1 even strength goal. Yeah, we got 3 out of 4 points on the road. That's not going to really fly, I don't think, coming up this weekend. We're going to need to score full strength. I guess if that's all I have to complain about, then we're doing pretty good.
Yeah. My favorite moment from the weekend, that would go to Ryan Alexander's go-ahead goal on Saturday. This kid is just pure energy on the ice. Just his level of excitement, his get up and go while he's out there. He gets that goal, he's going crazy. His line mates are going crazy. The guys on the bench are going crazy. And it just seemed like one tick above being excited because you just took the lead late. It's to see like how he can raise the level of energy of this team, aside from scoring goals, may be like one of the most positive influences he has on this roster.
Yeah. For me, I think my favorite moment then has to be the 1 even strength goal of the weekend. Carter Rose, not really known for being the offensive defenseman. He's getting some points this year. He throws it at the net. I guess Winter Wallace gets his first on that one, gets a piece of it. Not, the pretty setup play. It's the run-of-the-mill deflection, but late in the game, that was exactly what we needed to get back in it, and then we got a power play, and so,
All right, so to finish this off, my weekend MVP, we could have flipped a coin on this. We almost literally did. It was down between two. I type up the sheets for these, so I usually, not usually, I always get the pick first, and you've made your displeasure known with that a couple times when you say I've picked what you call the easy ones. So I just kind of threw both names on here because could be a coin flip between either one. So since you picked this player last week, I'll be picking him this week. That's Kyle Chevette. On the weekend, only allowed 3 goals, 60 saves in 63 shots. Beating the drum over and over and over again, beating the dead horse. He was the main reason they stayed in that game, and it was a 1-0 game on Friday. And, gave up a couple goals on Saturday, but he kept them in it. Just made some incredible saves, standing on his head, side to side in the crease. For people who think, if anybody has the thought that these players sit around and do nothing all summer, just waiting for the next season to start, let Kyle Chevette be the person who proves that wrong. And it's no secret, Kyle was very shaky last year. And coming into this season, we were kind of wondering about him. Saw him in tryout camp. We were seeing the improvements that were being made. It's extremely, extremely easily evident just how much work this kid put in this summer, because he's playing at a whole nother level than what we saw last year.
Yeah, and I guess then this weekend I get the easy one. I guess both are pretty easy this week. Brian Alexander, 2 goals in the win. Obviously important. But as you alluded to, he just brings energy. And sometimes I think that's what we need the most of.
So last Saturday at the Cavelli Center, I got the chance to interview Phantoms defenseman Trey Taylor. Trey was the Phantoms' Phase 2 third-round pick this past summer. He is out of Vancouver, British Columbia. Never been there. I heard it's a beautiful city. He spent the last few seasons in the BCHL before migrating south to the USHL this year. Extremely nice kid. Right now, he is my 5-year-old's favorite player. I won't go into it here. Let's just say I scored some Dad of the Year points last weekend. I will point out, when you're listening to this interview, that noise you hear in the background, that was the post-game jersey auction. There was no escaping it, and believe me, I tried, short of going out in the parking lot. So without further ado, this was my conversation with Trey. Okay, so now we're here in the back area of the Cavelli Center with Trey Taylor. Now, Trey, 3 seasons with the Vernon Vipers in the BCHL. You went to the finals in your first season. Last season, you were associate or assistant captain. How do they? Is that associate or assistant in Canada?
Assistant captain, yeah.
Okay. So what has your transition to the USHL been like?
Oh, it's been fun. I mean, they're making it really easy for me. The coaches are trusting me in all situations, so it's nice. And I've been kind of just doing my best to do my part. I've enjoyed it so far.
About a year ago, you did an interview for the BCHL's website. You talked about when you were younger, getting to go out on the ice, take shots against your brother Ty.
Yeah.
Now, you said you weren't a very good shot back then. So right now, if you were to go up against him, 10 shots, how many are going in?
I'd probably say 7. 7? You saw my slap shot last night, I think.
Yes, I did.
I think I'd say 7. If I get a shot in the slot against him, I think I'm scoring. So,
now, at least from our standpoint, it seems like you and TJ have had this incredible chemistry on the ice since he came to Youngstown. Was that something that was immediate? What do you think has worked well between you guys so far?
Yeah, no, he's a really good player. It's kind of easy, he's a good right shot D-man, solid everywhere, all zone, D zone, neutral zone. He's kind of just a easy guy to play with. So it's kind of just we're just trying to complement each other's games, and that's kind of all. I think he's a really good guy off the ice as well, and so it's been easy. It's nice to play with a guy you're friends with off the ice, and I mean you're friends with all your teammates, but when you have a good connection with your D partner, it's always better. And I think he's a really good player, and you've obviously got a taste of that and seen that these last few games since he's been here.
All right, now we'll do like a fun one to finish this out.
Sounds good.
Okay, of all your teammates, who would you most not want to take a punch from?
Winter Wallace, probably. I think he's got some meaty hands over there, so I think if he cracked me in the face, I don't know if I'd be seen the next day. So,
all right. No. Well, Trey, thank you very much.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for talking to me.
Okay, so there you go. We definitely want to thank Trey for helping us out, taking a couple minutes after the game. Now it is time to move on to a foe who was recently familiar to us, and that'll be the weekend preview with this week's opponent, the Madison Capitals. Now, this is the second time we will be meeting Madison this season. The last time was October 8th and 9th. The games were in Madison. That was a 5-1 loss for the Phantoms and a 7-0 loss for the Phantoms. Yeah, we were pretty down in the dumps after that weekend. Luckily, it's, with the exception the weekend with Cedar Rapids, it's starting to pick up from there. Yeah, Madison has pretty much been steamrolling this season. Although their last 3 games against Green Bay, not nearly as dominant as they had been earlier in the season. Hopefully, for our sake, they're coming back down to earth a little bit, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, the Madison Capitals are coming in with a record of 9 wins, 2 losses, and 1 overtime loss. That is good for 19 points and second in the Eastern Conference. The Phantoms are coming into this weekend with a record of 5 wins, 6 losses, and 2 shootout losses. And that works out to 12 points, and they did climb up to 4th place in the Eastern Conference. So just getting into some of the numbers here, so far this season, Madison is averaging 4.5 goals a game. They are giving up 2.6 goals a game. In comparison, Youngstown is averaging 2.8 goals per game and giving up 3.1. Madison on the power play, 22.9%. That is good for 3rd in the East. Their penalty kill is at 85.4%. That is good for 2nd in the East. Youngstown, their power play is at 22%. Their penalty kill is at 73.2%. Both of those rank 5th in the Eastern Conference. So I know we're doing these a little earlier in the week we have in the past. What do you see as far as Madison coming into this weekend?
I'm with you and hoping that whatever aliens kidnap the Madison Capitals that we know brings them back and takes these androids that have replaced them back. I have no explanation for why Madison is doing what they're doing. They have new coaching, kind of a new culture up there, and it is working.
Over the course of the last 2 weekends, like I said, they've played Green Bay 3 times. They've won 2 of those 3 games. But, with doing what I do with my blog with the game time percentages, they're not leading for 90% of the game like they have been. They've had to play much tighter. They played much tighter games against Green Bay. All 3 of these games were against one opponent, maybe just Green Bay playing them, a little tougher than others have, but again, fingers crossed, maybe just coming back down to earth a little bit. So yeah, as far as this weekend, we got the game on Friday. That will be a 7:05 puck drop. And the game on Saturday, also a 7:05 puck drop. That is $2 beer night. That will be good until halfway through the second period. And if you want to get tickets for that game, those are $5 a tickets anywhere in the arena except for, well, obviously the suites. Anywhere in the arena except for the front row seats up on the glass. Which, I mean, that's not a bad deal. I mean, I sit in the second row. They're still pretty good seats. That, and I'm pretty sure Justin would have a hissy if they started selling front row seats for $5.
Yeah, I haven't seen. I was gonna say I have seen deals close to that, but not in a long time. Yeah, so. Yeah, I mean, second row, you can still get hit by the glass.
Yeah. But nice callback. But yeah, I mean, come on, $5 tickets, family of 4, that's $20, $10 for parking, $30 for a family of 4 to go see a hockey game. I mean, you're $30, I think, might get you parking at a Penguins game. Depending on how close to the arena you are, $30 would get you parked at a Penguins game.
$30 might get you on the PA Turnpike.
The way they keep raising the rates, good Lord. But yeah, and of course, if you can't make it to these games, our great and wonderful friend, the voice of the Phantoms, Matt Lipsack, you will be able to hear him on Hockey TV if you do not have a subscription to Hockey TV. And we can say this, I don't blame you, it's a little pricey. For the high level of quality you get, it's a little pricey. I can say that.
Yeah.
It can be said on here.
I was going to say, especially lately.
If you're okay with just listening to the game, of course, you got the free option on Western Reserve Radio. So yeah, Matt will have the call both nights. So with all of that, we've run out of show. Yeah, let's go ahead and crank up the carousel music and take it home. Okay, so make sure to check out next week's show where we will take a look at how this weekend went and look ahead to a split weekend road trip in Wisconsin with games against Madison and Green Bay. That'll be the first time with us seeing the Gamblers this season. And hopefully, fingers crossed, if everything goes right, we'll have an interview with Phantoms team captain Jaden Grant. So, as always, the Dump and Chase podcast is brought to you by hockeyfan.com. Justin's recap and preview articles are trucking along. My blog is up and running. There's just a lot of Phantoms info there. We go a lot deeper in there than we do here. You can also check us out on ohiohockeydigest.com, which I spelled wrong in my notes. Wow, I butchered that. Anyways, ohiohockeydigest.com, which is the biggest site for all levels of hockey in the state of Ohio that you can find on the internet. Also, make sure to check us out and subscribe to us on Twitter and Facebook. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube, Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, some random Lebanese podcast service that I've never heard of that just picked it up anyways, even though I didn't sign up for anything. You can find all of these in our Linktree page, which you can find in the description. Well, except for the Lebanese podcast service. I didn't add that one on there yet. And finally, thank you all for listening in this week. When it's all said and done, we get to do what we do because of you. So for Justin Irwin, I'm Sam Olmstead, and we cannot wait to see you all at the Cavelli Center this weekend. Bye now.